Hey everyone, before we start the podcast, I just want to take a moment here and dedicate this episode to my late grandfather, Paul Harrison-Chuck, who passed away last week. Luckily, my mom was able to make it back to say her goodbyes. He died at the age of 92, 72 years together with my grandma, 67 years of marriage, 6 kids, 15 grandchildren, 13 great grandchildren, and I'm sure more on the way. My grandfather was a great influence on me, especially in my younger years, of basically as a male role model. Of him and my dad, especially, were big influence on how I consider how I should conduct myself as a husband and a father. Without those influences, I don't think I'd have the healthy marriage I have today. So I just want to dedicate this to him and thank you for everything.
This episode is powered by Anivia Pickleball. Based in the heart of Vancouver, BC, whether you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, they have the paddle for you. I myself am currently using their Voltex Gen 3 Pro, which comes in both mid and lightweight. A big thank you for the team at Anivia for taking a chance on me in this podcast. And for listeners of the podcast, if you enter AGorman15 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out Anivia.com now. That's AGORMAN 15 at checkout. On with the show.
All right, we are back for the final episode of the year. Of course, I am Andrew, and we of course got Victor with us again.
Everyone, Victor.
All right, so let's jump right into it.
Oh, what a shot.
So Victor, we played against each other in the tournament. What was that? A few weekends ago now at
Mm-hmm.
that team tournament in St. Albert. How was that for you?
Wow, it's actually better than expected, right? We know that we're not gonna make it far because unfortunately one of our women got sick, so we have to like scramble get another woman in, and actually she surprisingly she played fairly good in our team. So shout out to her. It was Laura Spencer. She was really good. On so how when we went 2-2, so we won two not matches but two round, and then we lost, unfortunately lost 2 round, and once the rounds is again Andrew, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know what you can say about that.
You guys gave us a good push. Like you beat me and Chris in the men's.
Hmm.
And actually, the girls did a good job against Irene and Mikkel because I knew that was probably where we guys had a little bit. We had a little bit of a stack on you guys.
Hmm.
How strong Irene is, and then Mikkel's no slouch either. But the girls held it down pretty well and gave them a good push. And then when it came to mix, it was kind of the same thing. Like you guys gave me and Irene a good push there, but we've just been playing a little bit more than you guys because you were out with that injury for that whole year there. So me and Irene have had a chance to kind of move up with that. But you guys still gave us a really good push, and then it was a really good match. Um, with Lester and Laura versus Chris and Mikkel. That was actually a really fun one to watch. I thought you guys were actually going to push it to the Dream Breaker singles with that match.
I was hoping anyway.
Yeah, and then I was
Uh,
worried. Oh, then I was worried because I didn't want to have to go against you in singles because you with the 10 you probably would have kicked my butt. So
Oh yeah, that definitely. But you guys did well. You went all the way to the in theory, it's the bronze medal match, right?
yeah, we went to the bronze. Yeah, because our first game we lost in the Dream Breaker to the team that from our pool ended up going to the gold medal game. And then yeah, we went to the bronze, and unfortunately, I think we kind of fell flat that game. Like Chris and Mikkel won their mixed match. Me and Irene lost ours, and we kind of weren't mentally. And then the women lost are very close, and there was one or two controversial calls, line
Mhm.
calls in that, which they kind of let get to their head, and then it kind of affected them moving forward in that. And then me and Chris in the men's, I think we lost. I want to say it was like 17-14 or something like that. And they picked on Chris a little bit with the speed ups.
That was close.
Yeah, kind of like how you and Lester did when you guys played us. You guys were definitely
Yeah.
trying to take us out of our slow play game.
Yeah, well, we definitely know Chris is the target, so definitely go. We did go at him, but you guys was solid as a team. Definitely, it's just too bad. I was just thinking, so maybe ref your you guys match, and then that's probably in your favor. But anyway, I left. Too bad.
But no, yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. Now that I've played rally scoring, I do like watching it for like CNPL with the pros playing because it's really entertaining. I don't know how much I like it when I'm competing in it in a
Yeah,
tournament setting.
yeah.
I find that it's harder to get a flow going because
Mhm.
I find I play more tentative because every mistake costs you a point. So there were shots there where realistically, I probably maybe would have attempted an Ernie even if the ball was maybe a little bit low. But like worst case scenario when you're playing regular points is that it's, okay, I'm going to lose serve.
Yeah,
Right
exactly.
where yeah,
Every
so,
point counts, right?
yeah. So I found with that it allowed and it also it plays to the benefit more. So I find of people who I don't want to say bangers, but people who like the speed up game better because it just they stay more aggressive that way. Whereas someone like me and Irene, who we like to kind of play that chess match with the dinking game and then get you to make a mistake and then we speed it up at you and get you to make a mistake that way, it doesn't play as well into that because like I said, if you make a mistake with the dink, it's not like okay, now we're on second serve or we lose serve. Now it's like, oh no, now we lose a point and now they've caught back up. So I see the advantages to it because like you were able to fit that many games into that short time span. Because what did we play, like 8-3? Because I think the championship game started at like 2:55 or something like that. So they like
It went pretty quick.
yeah, we barely went overtime. So like that's the one advantage with rally scoring. And it was funny actually. This week my club actually played. We did just a mini thing where we did rally scoring for a bit and did the whole like don't switch side things just to see kind of how it felt. I enjoyed it for rec where you're not really worried about winning or losing, but you're just trying new things. And then you can play with a person who's a little bit lower level than you, and you can still have some fun with it and because the games go so fast, you get to rotate through players. So if you're like in a club where, say, you're saying like 4.0 kind of plus players kind of normally play by themselves, but then you have like that little 3.5 group who are starting to get up there, but not quite there yet, and they normally segregate. You can kind of mix those two together, and then you still get good games out of that rally scoring, and you get to constantly mix. So there was times where I was playing, everyone was 4.0. There was times where I was the only 4.0 in the group and stuff like that. But I found it was really enjoyable with the rec side. For the tournament side, I guess if I played a little bit more,
Yeah, I agree.
I'd kind of find that rhythm to go with. But yeah, I found like for the way I play on a regular basis, it kind of was detrimental to me because I wasn't as aggressive as I probably should have been. So, but I still had a really good time. It was really fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we did some rec game. Me and Lester a little bit over here too. Definitely rally scoring because you can manage the time, right? If you max it out at 17 point, okay, that's the maximum timing it's gonna take for that match compared to regular scoring. You can go side out, side out, side out, side out, and then take forever, and then you can rotate so many players in there. So that's the advantages of the rally scoring. But if you're saying for more like a strategy play as purposes, that is not as easy because since every point counts, you just want to dominate into the point. So that's probably why like me and Lester were able to win all our men's because I'm just the aggressive player. I was like, there's no dinking. Sorry, there's no dinking. You guys know when you saw me.
Oh
there's
yeah,
no dinking.
I knew what to expect playing you and Lester, and I was like, okay, I knew that just because we had started doing this podcast together, that you were gonna aim for me for a little bit more because I know the last time I played you and Lester, you guys avoided me like the plague. So, but I enjoyed the fact that you guys were speeding it up and me and having me stay involved. So that was fun.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, I knew that was when we were going to play you guys. I was like, okay, this style of game really suits how aggressive you guys play. And I knew I'd mentioned to Harry, and I was like, okay, we have to figure out a way to like force the dinking game, but we still have to do like that aggressive a little bit more aggressive, because what we would normally do in regular play, we would kind of the first 5 or 6 points, we kind of do the soft dinking game, kind of pinpoint the weaknesses, and then be more aggressive dinking leading into speed ups. Whereas this, you don't really have the time to do that, because if you're
No, like
if you're too patient, all of a sudden you're down 6-3 or something, and then you're trying to work your way back. So
yeah, which is
there's not as much of a feeling out process as there is with regular play.
yeah, it's pretty unfortunately pretty tough. But yeah, it was good experience. I'll play one more in 27 January. I have another one that Churko did did another one, but that ones will be rough. There's because they upped the duper, so I think they have
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, because now it's like
17.5.
like that,
yeah,
or...
19 something. You're like, oh, and then I saw the players. We were playing against Dewey, him, and then Saji, Albert, Jeff, Simon, and then Ali. I was like, oh,
yeah.
that's
Dewey and Sanji are a tough team. I played against them at the that would have been early this year, like February or March or something like that. No, it would have been like last November.
they are tough.
One of the CVP tournaments in like the 4.5 division, and I was playing with someone who was like their first time playing at like a 4.5, and it was just like I made them work for it though. Like they beat us, I want to say like 11-3, but there was a lot of stalemates in where we got stuck. So, and it was funny. Sanjay at one point said to me, "You're making me run." I'm like, "I got to tire you out for the next guy, because I don't know if I'm going to beat you, but I'm going to make you work for it." So
nice, that's good. Yeah, I know I play against them a couple of times. Dewey is a good friend of mine. I'm starting to able to neutralize some of his harsh art finally. But against Sarge, it's going to be a little bit tough, because he's a little bit deceptive guy. He looks he's going to dink, but he's a right speed up right back at you, and you don't realize it.
Yeah, he's got a very good that forehand. It looks like it's going to be a dink or a drive, and then it also shoots off to the left on the side. And then Dewey's got the same thing with his backhand. He's got that very deceptive shot where it looks like it's going to be for a straight shot at you, and then all of a sudden it's at your like left shoulder.
Yeah, he flicks that. Luckily, I play against Jorge quite a bit now, so I kind of know about the expectation. Instead of looking, well, the main thing is you don't look at the paddle; you look at the ball instead of looking at the paddle. Because you try to look at the paddle, that's how you get burned. But if you look at the ball instead, that's give you a little bit extra reaction time to actually block that ball.
Yeah, I just assume it's coming at my chest every time at this point. That's what I do. It's coming at my chest. I'm just gonna get ready and try and push it back down on the floor. So
I see. Quick result at the PBA San Clemente, which is the finals for this season. So there's not much surprise, to be honest with you. Ben and Colin won the men's doubles. They actually who they beat? They beat the team Newman and Wilson. That was the team they beat. A little bit weird. What's going on is we were expecting actually JW or Dylan Fraser to make it to the final, but Newman and Wilson just played the chess game to say they just purposely lost a game in order to eliminate the JW and Dylan Fraser. So how
right, they did pool play, right?
Exactly. So how does it work? Is a little bit like the if people have followed tennis at the ATP finals, so they did the pool play. So there's a pool A and then there's a pool B, and there's 4 teams in both of them. The number 1 team on both sides will play against the number 2 team that finishes on their pool. So they did that for men's, for mixed, and for the singles. So that's how they do. So like for another example, like Ben Johns went 2-1. Like actually in their pool, there's 3 people that went 2-1. But because Ben Johns did win their some of the games with a bigger margin, so that's why he's able to go go through. Because otherwise, because in singles he did lost to Corner Garnett, but he's still make it through to the finals, which he beat Christian Alshon, which Christian did give him quite a match. It was a very tight three game. It just sucked that just Ben Johns is Ben Johns, right?
Yeah.
And then makes no surprise, unfortunately. And Ben and Ali, they're just unbeatable. They beat JW and Georgia Johnson. They're like very single handedly. It was not even close. And then you have the women's same thing, Parental and Waters, which they beat Anna Bright and David, and was also pretty convincingly, unfortunately. And so basically not very not big surprise. So Ben and Ali went for their triple crown again. So it's getting really redundant, to be honest with you. It's getting really redundant. Like they need to, like, someone needs to up their game, because right now they're like Ben and Ali just dominating.
Yeah, they need to either up their game or at least get some more personality into the game for the ones that are facing them in the finals to, make it more of a draw.
Exactly. So
it's kind of that double-edged sword. Like people love it when someone dominates like that, but then it also becomes very boring.
Yeah,
it's kind of like how when Golden State with basketball went on that tear where they were constantly in the finals, constantly winning.
Mm-hmm.
You were almost, even though if you were a fan, you were almost going for the other team to say, "Okay, let's see a change of pace."
Exactly.
So
yeah, totally agree. Like they won, like if they win maybe 50% of the time, I'll say that's good. But now they're like winning at 90% of the time. So like, they're like, people is not some, like I talked to some of my pickleball folks. They're like, I'm not watching anymore because I know who's gonna win anyway. So what's the point watching?
Yeah, right. Yeah, when it's getting that predictable. So it's I don't know if they have to make up a thing where, I don't know, maybe they do like a random draw for partners, make it a little bit more interesting with that, so you can't have the two best playing together.
Yeah,
But
could.
Yeah, they have to come up with something to spice it up a little bit, or else it's going to get to the point where people aren't going to watch because the outcome's already pretty much made up. It's like the big stories you always hear is when they get upset, which doesn't happen very often. But like the Johnsons beat them that one time earlier in the year, and that was like a huge story and stuff like that. And same thing when like the Johns brothers lose a match. Same thing. It's like that's the big story coming out. It's not even who won; it's the fact that they lost.
Exactly.
It's so. I find that weird though that they okayed that with Newman and them losing intentionally.
Well,
because that's one of those things again, kind of like what's her name with the line calls, where you're killing the credibility of the sport.
I know. It's
some
people say. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
I remember a couple years ago in the Olympics with badminton where the one team got kicked out because they intentionally lost to try and get a better positioning after pool play.
Yes,
so they got qualified in the whole tournament. So I think something like that should, like, probably because this was probably the first time that happened. They probably didn't really know what to do, but I think something should be implemented in where, hey, if you're clearly losing on purpose, that should disqualify you or something, because that's not, in essence, that's not the spirit of sport.
Yes, I agree. In theory, in the rule book, there is something like that is written that you're not playing at your best effort. When you're playing in the rule book, there is one, but however, I haven't seen any referee implement this rule, because it's very subjective. Like, can you really say that he intentionally lost that match? Or, and anyway, there's a lot of debate in order to like really say they really intentionally lost that match. So anyway.
Yeah, because anyone can come out flat because it is pickleball. But like, if it was a team, they were like 9 times out of 10, or even 9.5 times out of 10, they should beat. And depending, because I didn't see the match, so depending on what the match looked like, it's a little bit hard. Because, like, for example, the Olympics one that I brought up, it was blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, the fan at to the point where like
I saw that one. Yeah.
people watching were booing and stuff like that. I was like, okay, no, that's blatantly obvious. So it depends on how convincing it was. So like, did they win any sets during that game, or did they just get swept?
No, they got swept, but like it's not very like it's not 11-0, 11-0 leader. It was like 11-8, 11-8 ish like that. So it's not like
Yeah,
so that like you
that's
can make an argument.
yeah, you can make an argument either way that the other team was just on fire. They might not have been playing their best type of thing because same thing with like we've seen the Johns brothers fall to something like that where they like lose 11-8 or 11-7 and you're like, oh, that's really out of character, but the other team just happened to be hitting every shot. So yeah, so that's an iffy one, but yeah, something to kind of look deeper into because that was like the other big thing coming out of that is did they throw it just to get the better seating type of thing? So
Yeah, that could be it anyway. But yeah, that wraps up for PPA. And then this year they did what they call so some like annual reward. So they brought us a couple at the end. They brought a couple players out for giving them some prize, probably a certificate. So you have the player of the year, obviously. Oh, everyone knows Ben and Ellie already. Those are the player of the year. And then you have the newcomers of the year, which is Christian Alshon and Georgia Johnson, which makes sense. They are really they have been very solid this year, and especially Christian. I really agree that he should make he deserves that. And then you have fans of the fan pick player of the year. That one was slightly surprising. The woman we know is Anna Lee, but men's it was Tyson McGoffin. So like, what? It wasn't Ben.
and sorry, I misheard there. That was for what was that award for?
The fans pick the fans picking the players of the year.
I can see that though. I can see McGuffin winning the fan vote over Ben because as far as charismatic wise, Tyson's going to beat him with that.
That's true. That's true. He making
and
his
he wins. He goes
and stuff like that.
He wins, like he hypes the crowd up. He when he wins, he goes over and crushes a beer with the fans.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So yeah, so I see that more as like that's the charismatic award because and Annalie does get the crowd hyped up when she scores points and stuff like that. So I can see Annalie winning that as well. I can't really trying to picture another female at the moment who would do something like that, like maybe Parento, but not on the level that's Annalie.
No, definitely not. And the league is much more on that. So no, that wraps up on the PPA award, and then you have another tournament, the MLP, which MLP San Clemente was tuned down a little bit more because it used to be supposed to be 12 team playing, and then they just limited to 4 teams. So makes it a little bit much smaller size, and they play it on a Monday and a Tuesday, which is not prime time, I guess. And they play in the morning on top of that. It's like, what? Why did they do that?
Well, it's almost like they punted the viewing.
Yeah, I think they just say, "Oh, well, we're just gonna finish it up," and that's it. That's it. We did like, and anyway, we'll talk about that MLP problem soon. Right after that. So so MLP San Clemente, a little bit surprised actually. Ben won. So the Chicago Slides beat the Orlando Squeeze, and was actually pretty interesting. So how this one works is there's two contender teams were playing first, and then the two first team, which is the Orlando Squeeze and the DC Pickleball team, were the number 1 and number 2 seed. So Orlando Squeeze won that match. The DC team, they're not done yet. They play like the almost like a little bit like the A draw and the B draw. So they went to the B draw playing against the Chicago Slice because they won their game. I don't remember what was the team they're playing against, but they won that game. So Chicago Slice now play against a DC team, and again, Riley Neiman choke. So what happened is they're winning 2-0, 2-0, and then they lost all the way to Dreambreaker. Right? What the heck happened again? And Chicago Slides are not well known for their Dreambreaker. because the only single player is Ben Johns. The three other players sucks. Sorry for saying that, but they're not good. As
Yeah.
we're talking about pro standard, obviously, right?
Yeah.
They're not they're definitely not as good, but they won Dream Breaker. So like, okay, what happened in there? And then now they playing against Orlando Squeeze. Same thing happened. They were losing 2-0, and then they beat them all the way from to Dream Breaker. Now suddenly you're questioning. Because at first that people are questioning, should Ben John be the number one pick? Now kind of a little bit answer the question. Yes, Ben John should be your number one pick because he's gonna make that adjustment and he's gonna grind that thing out for you.
People were actually questioning that, like,
yeah, because the last few MLP, well, Ben didn't really win any MLP except like the first MLP they probably played with the BLQK. That's it. And then
but that's not really Ben. That's on who they selected for his teammates. Like, you can give the best player in the world, pick the best player in the world first, but if your picks after that are not in sync with that, or if you have really low picks after that, like you take a look at even if you look at the CNPL, like you had like, and they went women first because I understand why, because the women pool in Canada, there's like the top 4 or 5, and then there's a bit of a gap once you get to like 7, 8, 9 for our women here in Canada. But like for example, Kim Layton got picked. What was it, number 2 or number 3, something like that. But then you look at the players that went on her team, and this is no offense to like Cam Rich and them, but like she's her when she plays with Chapman, they've been dominating pretty much, with the exception of when they have to play Deacon. And her team came like in dead last.
Yeah.
For the NPL, right? So, and it's like, and I don't put that on her. She's playing really well, but like if you don't give them people to like compliment them, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have the best player in the world on the team. If they're not going to, they can't do it all by themselves. They can only play somebody in the matches.
Yeah, I agree with that. But however, like what the result with that MLP that changes a little bit, because Eric Lange was not a right side player for Ben. He's definitely not that guy. And then even Jessie Irvin she was struggling really hard by playing with Ben, because Ben was expecting that he was playing with Andalise, so Andalise gonna cover all when he's outstretched. But like Jessie Irvin is not that type of player. She's just a more consistent dinker. But they still and Ben just make that adjustment. They just make that adjustment and to make it happen. So that's why I'm saying that makes a little bit more questioning. Okay, should you now pick Ben as number one? But we'll come with this problem soon, because now the MLP has a new came out with a new drafting. Well, we'll explain why I'm saying that.
Right,
so, and then what else? There's one more tournament that not a lot of people was actually paying attention, is the APP, the US Indoor Championship. This one not really big surprise. Singles, you have Hunter Johnson beating Chris Harwood. So who's Chris Harwood? He was the one that beat Ben in the US National. So so that was a pretty good result for him. Women's singles, you have Gina Herseth and Jessica Warren. I don't know them, so I can't comment on this. Men's double, you have Diascu and Noonberry who beat the Johnson brother, not the other Johnson, just the Hunter and Yates Johnson. So which is normal, because Diascu was winning a lot APP this year. And then women's double, you have the Simone Jardim and Barnard against Harris and Humbert. I have a feeling because Paris Top is not playing for some reason. Because Simone Jardim was playing with Paris Top for a while, but I think Paris Top is now trying to find another partner instead of playing with her. so that was interesting. And then mixed double, you have Parrish Todd and Hunter Johnson, who beat Susanna Barr and Diaries. So if some people don't know, Parrish Todd is actually dating with Hunter Johnson, so that's why they're playing together. A little bit like Anna Bright and James Jananovich. So that kind of format. So anyway, couple little quick changes on those tournaments. So the PPA used to, they have that pickleball TV channel, but suddenly they have a geo lock now. So you have to be in be at having a US VPN or IP address in order to be able to see it. So you cannot view it anymore just going to their website. So what I have to do, I have to find some cheap VPN and then watch it. And then APPY, I'm just hoping they're gonna change it next year, because they have it just broadcast at the ESPN Plus app, which Canada doesn't have it, and like a lot of people in US does not have ESPN Plus anyway. So they're not drawing a lot of viewers just by putting on ESPN Plus. They just should have just let it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, at least until you get viewership up to the point where you can. And with YouTube, the nice thing is you can see how many people are watching it right away. So it's like, hey, it gets to the point where, okay, we're up to the point where we need like a better platform. That's when you bump it up onto like a highly developed website to view. But then, yeah, I don't know why you would geolock it unless there's something within the Canada regulations why it's not allowed in there. Because I know there's some things with that, with different sports channels, or even just other channels like HBO Max and stuff like that, where in Canada we got to watch that stuff on Crave.
Yeah, that's I think that's probably why, because Pickleball TV is from Tennis Channel, right? So Tennis Channel is technically a US channel, so that's probably why I will say that will be the geo lock. But at the same time, there's not enough content in order to actually geo lock it.
No, yeah, exactly. And I'm wondering if the Tennis Channel, if someone in Canada has bought that up, whether it's the Zone or like TSN or something like that. So it may probably not, obviously not this year, but maybe next year it'll be available through that one of those services. I wouldn't be surprised if like the Zone or something picks up, because they seem to pick up those type of more niche stuff as well, aside from soccer and stuff like that. So
yeah, that could be the reason. Anyway, and then let's talk about that MLP PPA drama quickly. So what was that? So what happened is actually that's not good for the sport. That's what I think. So PPA asked, because what? So let me backtrack. What happened is there is a tour war between the MLP and PPA, right? So they're both tour are struggling and just signing people here and there to kind of play exclusively in MLP or PPA. So and then PPA saw that they're losing way too much players, so that at the end they just reconcile with MLP, saying, okay, that's okay, we're gonna just play together again. But the problem is the MLP, how I can say, the MLP format, or just the whole sport industry is not really sustainable if they are promising the player a certain amount of money. That's that actually they first signed that contract with MLP. So now PPA, what they said, they're suggesting the players to take a 40% cut from their salary. Yeah, you hear me right. 40, not 14.
I saw that announced, and I was just like, eesh. I can also that can probably be also attributed to I can't remember the guy's name, but the owner of the Clippers, because he was one of the starting founders of MLP, and he was probably a big hunk of money that was coming in just out of his own pocket. Which now that's out of there because he stepped down, I'd say that has a bit of an effect on it too. But like, yeah, if you need to go out and get more sponsors. It can't just be pickleball products. You gotta go out there and get, like, if we want to use CNPL for an example, go out and get, like, CMPL went out and got Tim's. Go out and
Exactly.
get, like if you're okay, so if we think US, go out and get McDonald's or go out and get
Starbucks, Dunkin', or whatever.
yeah, or Chipotle or some or Subway or whatever. Like any one of those big chains that are well known in the US. Like if you can pitch this sport enough, especially with some of the pro levels. Like if you get Tyson McGuffin to go in and do like a commercial, like he's charismatic enough that you're gonna make it work. But they need to get more sponsors than just Selkirk and just Eula and just like
Yeah, that's not enough.
all those other ones because they're already sponsoring all these players and all these players are getting seen. But it's like if you don't have one of those big companies who don't have anything to do with pickleball aside from promoting themselves within the sport, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself with funds. It's no different than hockey getting like now that Tim's is embedded in hockey, but it was no different than hockey getting Tim's or hockey getting like Canadian Tire and stuff like that, right? Or like getting a car, like I know for a while it was like the Hertz car dealer, car rental and stuff.
Yeah,
like
well, they have Hertz and Hyundai, but that's about it. They don't have like
and
not.
and then like NBA has Kia and stuff like that for cars, right? So like you go out and you have to get one of those big brand names, and go out and get someone who maybe might not be big enough for like NBA, NFL, NHL, but someone who's still big enough and well known, but can go with that a little bit of a smaller budget with something like pickleball, right? So yeah, and then that's just a bad publicity thing, knowing that that publicly got asked. And honestly, with the players, like, hey, I signed a contract. You stick like I know that'd be like that'd be like me telling my like for people who don't know, I own a couple of Subways and I work in the stores and run them. But that'd be like me going up to my staff saying, hey, we're slow this week, so I'm going to cut your pay 40%, right? Like,
I think people is
I'm gonna get called by workers comp pretty quickly with that one, right? So that's not how business works. So I can see some players might like some of maybe the higher up players who are already kind of well off with lots of sponsorships. So maybe like the McGuffin, the Parentos who have they have Skechers, they have Selkirk, they have like all these other sponsors. I could see maybe some of them agreeing to take a bit of a cut, right? Because they're probably already have enough money to live on because with those sponsorship deals. But some of those lower players who are just coming up and manage to get those contracts, like even if you take in our Canadians, like the Walker sisters and Hannah Blatt, who saw the Walker sisters signed with the PPA and then Blatt signed with MLP. I don't think they're going to want to take a 40% cut. They literally just earned those contracts, right?
Exactly.
And so like,
exactly.
So I like that. That's just a stain on the sport right now. So hopefully they can go out and get some sponsors, make that work out. But I can't foresee all the players agreeing to that. Like, and besides, it's a legal document that's been signed by both parties. The players are the ones who have all the control with that, right? And then they can if MLP, PPA, whatever they want to call themselves now, decides not to pay, then they can just take them to court. Especially in the U.S., where you can pretty much sue anybody for anything.
Exactly, I agree. So actually, it's even badder news from that. What happened is some players anonymously actually said what happened is they pressured them to give them an answer within like 2 days. So and then almost like kind of threatened and say, if you don't agree now, we're gonna reduce up to 70% of your salary or something like that. So some player was pretty mad. So they right now they actually building almost like a players union in order.
And pickleball does need that if they want to become like an actual certified pro sport. You need to have a players union. You need to have like the PPA, MLP need to be their thing. But then you also have to have a players union that represents it. And the only way that that's going to work, and I listen to other podcasts and I agree with crapping out. Like the NBA does a very, very good job with their players unit because you have the stars at the front and center of it. Yeah, the NHL does a horrible job with the players union because if you look at the union reps for all the teams, it's like the third and fourth line players who are like fighting for minutes and fighting for a paycheck, right? It's not like the Connor McDavids or the Austin Matthews or the Sidney Crosbys on these things, right? Whereas like NBA, it's like Chris Paul, LeBron James, like all these big name players who are already making the big bucks, but then they're fighting for their teammates as
Hmm.
well, right? So like if it's not Johns and Waters at front and center of that players union, like
Yeah, that's not gonna make
it's not
any.
it's not going to succeed, right? Like if anything, you want Johns, Waters, McGuffin, Parenteau, even Newman get on
Mhm.
there. Like you want the charismatic and the high level players all on there as like the front runners of it, and then it gives the union some credibility, right? So
Yeah, I totally agree. So hopefully they're able to generate something out of it. But I think I will say that problem is far from over because at the same time, APP also announced they're gonna do a cheap like MLP format on their own. So and they announced it right during like that when PPA announced that minus 40% pay cut. So I
yeah,
I
they're
don't
trying
know.
on
I don't
that.
know. Yeah, just the timing wise, they're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, we'll
And,
see though, because if they can't pay as much, then it's not going to be much of a much of a publicity stunt. So
exactly. When we're talking about the MLP, how they're gonna make more money, obviously the one that you're talking about, having more sponsorship, like other sponsor than pickleball is definitely definitely the solution. But however, MLP is actually finding a different solution at this for the moment. So what they were doing. So there's two things they're doing. First of all, they're actually having a bidding war for all the 14 teams to be to include like to include them in either in the premier or in the Challenger League now. So last year they backtrack. They This year they announced that the Premier and Challenger supposed to be merging, but now they say they're gonna still be back to just Premier and Challenger. But in order for you to make it to the Premier League, you have to be certain amount of money in order to make it to the Premier League level. So like, okay, that's interesting.
so they're
And
kind of
then
soccer approach to that then.
yeah, exactly. So they backtrack and everything, and then people was to say were saying also what's gonna do is depending on your how your team performance will be on your on 2000 at the end of 2024. I think the top 3 or 4 team from the challenger will be promoted to the premier, and then the bottom 4 from the premier will got brought down to the challenger leagues. So anyway, that I will say that that's some sort of give you a little bit of competitiveness because right now at the MLP there's like if you don't make it to the finals or you don't win any championship, well, I still get my money, so I don't have the incentive of playing well,
Yeah.
compared to what is going now, that relegation and promotion that is forcing you to stay at a certain level. And then the second thing what they're doing is they're doing another actually bidding for drafting players. So for round 1 and 2, there will be a bidding number. So basically, like if you want to get Ben Johns, you have to bid the highest. So people are saying, well, just seeing what happened for on the last MLP, I'll just bid 1 million on Ben Johns. I don't care. I just get one. I have just now $1 for the equity for the rest of the players. I don't give a crap. I just need to get Ben Johns, right?
That's actually interesting because they're kind of doing almost like a combination of fantasy and
Yeah.
then soccer, or sorry for our fans in the UK, football, and everywhere else in the world. It's only North America where we call it soccer. But because in all over the UK and all over like all the other places that play soccer, you have tiers of leagues, and how well your team does moves you up levels and leagues. So like for you to play in the Premier League, you have to you have to get out of your regulated leagues and work your way up to that. So that
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of like what this is like. So basically, you have to perform to be able to play at the highest level, which I'm totally fine with. That sounds awesome. But yeah, as far as the draft thing goes, that almost sounds like playing fantasy hockey or fantasy basketball. And when
Yeah.
and for the number 1 draft, it's like, hey, I'm going to bid X amount on so and so. So that actually sounds interesting because then, of course, the team owners, it's kind of whoever has the big bucks might go all in on a few, but then kind of still budget for, okay, if I go Ben Johns, I can budget maybe my second male to be a little bit lower, but then still save a budget to, if not get Waters, maybe get like a Parenton or like Johnson or like an Irving or something like that, right? So I'm interested to see how that goes. That does sound interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. So that's how they're trying to get their equity right now. So we'll see. We'll see how it develops next year. Oh yeah, the newcomers next year, the tennis folks finally is emerging into the pickleball scene. So what we have a couple of big announcement. So from the Selkirk team, you have Jack Sock, which is he was the top 10 tennis player in the world, that he now retired from tennis. He now Captain Parento now confirms that he will be his main mix partner. And then for his male's partner, he's going to play with Colin Shake, which is a college. He was a college tennis player from UNC. He has a pretty good result this year in PPA and MLP so far. So that will be an interesting dynamic to be seen. And then another big one is Eugenie Bouchard. So the people that remember, here we go. Our Canadian Eugenie Bouchard is actually now will be actually finally playing the PPA, because during that Tour War, MLP and PPA, she was signed with PPA, and then nothing happened, and we're like, is she gonna play? Or
announced a while ago, and then never actually went to a tournament. So that's
exactly. It's like, is she playing or not? So now we got confirmation that she is playing, and she will be playing with Tyler Loon. So that's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic. And then another less known tennis players, U.S. tennis players, Donald Young also is gonna come in and play at the PPA. He didn't announce who's gonna play with. I'm just saying he should just play with Sam Curry, since Sam Curry didn't have any result, so he should be playing with Sam Curry.
There you go.
And that's it. Hopefully that will change a little bit, stir up a little bit of the dynamic. And then maybe I will say they will be a little bit far off challenging Ben and the Lee, but at least stir up a little bit. The dynamic will be good than just seeing the same old people all day long. So yeah, I'm excited. Fresh off the news press, we got new rules at 2024 already. So yes, the USPA 24 rule book has just been released. Maybe I'll say 2 days ago. There is a couple of changes, no major changes like compared to last year. So there, I was able to know there's seven changes in that rule book. So first of all, well, that rule everyone kind of knew, because it had that make change at the mid season last year. So there will be no more incorrect server, incorrect receiver, or incorrect positional errors anymore. So the referee will be responsible calling your incorrect server move over, or your incorrect receiver move over. All right, so I actually really encourage that role, because as a referee, sometimes, like, I know your incorrect server or your incorrect receiver or stuff like that, but I can't tell you, because I'm not that's not supposed to be my responsibility, and then you lose a point or you lose a serve because of it. But right now, like, I have to check anyway, like, because this is my responsibility to check are you the right server or right receiver anyway. So if I notice that you're incorrect server, just let me tell you. I'll tell you, no, you're not the server. Give it to a partner. So then that end the story, and that ends some of the argument. I see there's a lot of argument sometimes is, oh, why I'm not in the incorrect why do I lose the point? I'm the correct server, and then you have to explain, you have to go back to your score sheet and stuff like that, and then you disrupt the flow of the game because of it. And now you're just like, nope, you're not server, move over, or you're not the receiver, move the other side, and then that's it. Everyone's agree, and then keep the play on. How do you think that?
No, I'm happy with that. As someone who actually benefited from that rule a lot, because especially when me and Irene were advancing very quickly through like the 3-5 category, I'd say probably at least once or twice a tournament we'd get 1 or 2 points. Usually from a team stacking, where they would either they would serve the wrong one, or if we were serving, they would be lined up in the wrong way, and we'd automatically get a point, or we'd automatically get served back in. It always felt kind of chintzy getting the point that way.
Yeah.
So especially when we were already winning most of the time. So like I was like, okay, I don't really need this kind of give me this mulligan point. I'm like, we're already winning this. I don't need to win that way. I already don't like winning on like say a foot fault or stuff like that. But so yeah, so like I'm totally fine with that.
I should tell you what one of my mail on that Turco tournament. One of the match point was I called the footfall on my opponent.
Oh
yeah,
no, yeah.
yeah. So I won the match on calling the footfall on my opponent.
Yeah.
Just to
Oh
let
no,
you know.
yeah. Like I like if the ref's calling it, and if it's especially blatant, I don't have a problem. But if it's like something like just the toe of the foot
Yeah,
on the line, like I don't
agree.
like those ones. But yeah, there are ones where yes, if it's blatant, then yeah, go ahead. But yeah, there was times where me and Irene were serving, and we knew the other team was in the wrong position, and we just waited for the ref to say, "Yep,
Just serve it.
7-5-1," and then I would just hit it, and then I wouldn't even try to get the return because I was waiting for the ref to stick their hand up saying point, right? So it's just like
Exactly.
I was like, well, I said you're all adults. I was like, it's not my job to fix you. Like, is basically how I looked at it. But I was like, no, if it's now the ref's responsibility, I have no problem with that whatsoever, because it also saves me from asking, because I know every now and then if it was a wrong rally, I'd forget, and I'd always be like, hey, am I in the right spot? Whereas now you're already telling me.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
you waste time.
I'm totally
Sometimes
down.
you waste time having to ask and stuff, and then you wait, and then the ref checking and stuff like that. It like I said, it disrupts the flow of the game. And right now, it's just like if refs could call it, and it's gonna call it right away. So which is good. That's a welcoming change. Next one, they have we call it draping net. So sometimes some of the net, they're not tied off off the floor. Sometimes for some reason some of the net are just basically lying on the floor, so they're draping on the floor. From the old rule, if the ball, let's say, hit at that draping net, it's going to be like the ref's discretion to call a replay the point. But now it's automatic replay, except on the serve, obviously, right? Because if you just serve and the ball hit the net, I'm sorry, it's either in the kitchen anyway, or it didn't pass beyond the kitchen. So right, so that's I think that's just clarification change. That's basically it.
And it takes the onus off the ref to have to make that judgment call. Like, yes, it landed there. And this is very similar for those of us who play with like the portable nets that have the bar going across.
Exactly.
The same thing with the ball hitting the top net, falling down and hitting that bar. Instant replay of the rally. So I'm totally fine with that. I have played on a few nets where the nets are getting a little bit old, they're drooping on the floor. And you've seen me run in and dive for a ball that hits the net.
Yep, definitely.
Right? So I was like, okay, no, I'll take the rerun, because I'm pretty sure I could have been able to get to that if the ball actually bounced instead of dying on the net. So yeah, it also saves me from having to dive as well. So
dive into it.
I got enough scraped up knees and elbows from doing that already.
You're too hardcore. That's all. I'm not. I usually don't dive for the ball. I'm a serious player, but I don't kill myself, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the basketball and baseball, softball part coming back into me, where you're diving to save those loose balls or foul balls and stuff. So I can't turn that part of my brain off.
Nice. So that's a good change. And then another interesting change, actually, this one is they actually, so for catch or carry ball on the paddle, for people that doesn't know what carry means. So carry the ball is like when you actually kind of like grabbing the ball and then propulsing back forward, right? So you're not just hitting with one contact. You're just like you're kind of like holding the ball with a multiple second and then throw it over. What usually happen is like you're reacting to a shot or something. I'm seeing Andrew is trying to show.
For those of you watching on YouTube, I can do a quick demo here because I got a paddle.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Our nice Nivea G3 Pro. So basically, yeah. So if you're returning the ball, and most of the time the ball's going to come off the paddle like that, but if the ball kind of rolls and then you release it, that's what Victor's referring to with that. So that normally that would be discretion. Like if it was just if your hand is in complete movement, we're just saying, okay, that's accidental. Whereas now that's now going to be completely dead.
Exactly. Now it's just completely is an automatic fault. There's no discretion. There's no subjectivity. That's a fault automatically. So
yeah, I like that because that also takes the onus off the ref. Now it's just it's a black and white call. It's no longer a discretion call. It's clearly a carry. So
exactly,
yeah,
because
I like that too. It's like I said, this one and the previous two rules are taking that guessing out of the ref's hands, and now it's just a black and white rule. So it makes it easier for the refs and it's less stress. So.
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes they're like, okay, that carry, is it one motion? Is it two motion? Man, sometimes you're like, I don't know. I'm watching the non-volley zone line, or I'm watching where the ball is. I have no, and sometimes it's way too fast. You don't know what's going on. Is it one motion? I know there's a carry, but I don't know is it one motion or is it deliberate? So it was a little bit confusing determining before. So right now, just say, well, it's a fault. It's a fault. That's it. End of the story. What else? The fourth one is a little bit weird. They actually say conceding a rally. So what it is let's say there is a line judge. Okay, so a line judge called the ball out, and then you actually saw the ball in, and you say no, the ball was in. Okay, so usually what happened if the line judge you overrule the line judge, and usually what happened is going to be a replay the point. But now you can say, well, I'm not going to be I'm not reaching for the ball for that ball anyway. I'm just going to concede the point anyway. So that's a little bit weird, as like I don't think a lot of people will do that anyway.
I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. If anything, it's going to be the opposite, where they're calling it out and the line judge is calling it in. Like, I know I've had a few points where I would have a few calls where I would have loved to have a line judge because they're calling the ball out and it's like 2 feet in. I don't foresee, like, you'd have to have someone where it's like, now I could probably see myself doing this, but it would have to be really, really blatantly
obvious
for me, and then the line judge would have to, for some reason, just not have been paying attention properly. Because like unless it's like, because if it's one of those ones where I'm looking at, I'm like, I don't know, that could have been in or out. I'm going to defer to the line judge if there is a line judge with that. Because normally I know what they say is like, if you're not sure, then it's in. But if there's a line judge calling it out, I'm like, okay, well, he or she had a better view of it than I did, because I'm trying to, snap my neck over and react to it, whereas they're literally staring right down the line. So I don't foresee this happening that much. If it does, hey, props to the player who does concede the point, because that's like super good sportsmanship.
Exactly.
But yeah, I like the rule being in there, but I don't foresee it being used very much.
Yeah, that's why I agree. Yeah, it's good to have it, but I really doubt people will do that. Yeah. And then what else? Okay, so fifth one, that's an important one for PP for some people. Actually, for me, sometimes important. So medical timeout. So what used to happen? You call medical timeout. It's 15. You have 15 minutes, and after 15 minutes, if you cannot play or be able to play after 50 minutes, usually it should be a retirement. Okay, but now you can still use your remaining timeout to just so let's say you still have two regular timeouts, so you can call your two regular timeouts and hope for you'll be able to play after additional timeout that you that you have. So which is sometimes you just need that minutes, right? And then you're good. You'll try again.
This might not be for the ladies, might not get this, but if us guys eat one of those balls between the legs, you might need that extra 2 minutes to recover.
Oh yeah, I definitely, I can definitely feel that.
Yeah.
And then there's one more change also on the medical timeout. So for a lot of people that doesn't know that, but apparently, so what happened before? So let's say I call a medical timeout. They have to summon a medical staff to evaluate you, right? But let's say the medical staff hasn't arrived. It's just like you're waiting, hasn't arrived, and then it's like, oh, I'm feeling better. Okay, I don't need that medical timeout anymore. So what happened before is that timeout is not being calculated. It's just going to be becomes a referee timeout, and then just carry on. A lot of people are saying, well, like people can use that as a leeway to take a timeout, and then because you're not charged for that calling that medical timeout all the time. So what happened right now is if you do call medical timeout and then you resign that medical timeout before the medical staff arrive, you still get charged for that medical timeout.
So question, Dave, I don't know if it goes into detail in the rule book, but say because medical timeout's what, 15 minutes?
Yes.
So say, for example, say I go down, call a medical timeout, but I'm able to get myself back up and moving in like, say, 5 minutes type of thing before the medical staff gets there. Do I lose the entire 15 or do I just lose 5 and still have 10? Say if I re-aggravate, say
no, you don't have save. You lose all of them.
Just the whole thing. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if that would go in. It probably has that somewhere in the sub, in like the sub fine print, but okay.
No, so what happens usually? So to explain medical timeout, yes, you're entitled to that 15 minutes, but let's say after 10 minutes, after like let's say your treatment and everything, you say I'm ready to play. You don't get that 5 minute extra bank minutes. You lose it. You don't get it back.
So yeah, so realistically, if you call a medical timeout, even if you're feeling better after 10 minutes, you might as well take the other 5 and keep yourself and hydrated or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, just use your full 15 minutes. That'll be my call. And then they have a little bit clarification about paddle specs, just making sure that saying, okay, you're not making alteration beyond limit. You don't paddle should not be greedy, be beyond limit, but that's a little bit difficult for especially the tournaments in Canada, to enforce that, because you cannot send this to the lab like PPA. They have a lab, they have a lab or a technician on site to test all the paddle and then certify all the paddle for play. I'm not foreseeing any of our tournament doing that.
Well, hey Victor, if you want to make some more money, I know you got some of that equipment already. You should just up your service, call CNPL, you call UE up and call the CPA up and say, hey, do you guys need a pro tester on site?
Yeah,
so UE, if you're watching, Victor's available.
Yeah, I'm available to do that, definitely. But yeah, that's they that. So basically, the rule book just included sometimes some tournament will require you to have a certification to play. Basically, that's what it means. And last one is the now mini single. So skinny single is now considered as an approved format, compared to before it was just like on the side format. Not there's nothing concrete. Now is official format for tournament play. So but we anyway, a lot we know that a lot of tournaments now do that anyway. So it's not.
Parkland did it this year at
that's correct,
at their season opener stuff. Yeah, I'm fine. That's for me. That's more so, and not to be ageist, but that's more so for the older group. I personally prefer regular singles, because the whole point of regular singles is making your opponent move side to side. And because like I played, because Irene played in that, I didn't play in the skinny singles because I wasn't able to get into it quick enough. But as I was practicing with Irene for her practicing for it, I was like, I don't have to move. Like, so she's and because of me, because I'm 6 foot with like a 6'2" wingspan.
Yeah, you have a wingspan. Yeah, I don't need
Right,
to
I got a
move.
6'3" wingspan on me, right? And then you add my paddle to it, and I can switch hands. So like Irene's hitting the ball, and I'm like, okay, lean, smack it back over, lean, smack it back over. Like, unless you're hitting that angle perfect, I didn't really have to move that much with it. So
Exactly.
but I watched a lot of the skinny singles at that tournament, and a lot of them were exciting to watch, but not nearly as exciting as like watching regular singles is. So I can see this if you're doing like say like a 50 plus tournament, or even like I know BC always puts on like a 60 plus tournament and
Yeah.
stuff like that, or at least a tournament where that's like the main draw is the 55 60 plus category. I can see this getting really big with that, but I
Mhm.
don't foresee it, say for like provincials, I don't foresee this going in over singles, because you're not
No,
going to have, unless you're adding another day, which is already hard enough for I'm going to say for all the provinces, for provincials to get enough courts to run these provincials, let alone add another day for skinny singles. So
yeah, I agree.
but it's
So
nice that it's nice that it's approved. But like I said, I can see this being more so for like the more advanced stage players.
I agree. But yeah, so at least we know it's a approved format now. All right, so a little bit new equipment corner. We're winding down actually from an end of the year right now, so there's not much big one that came out. So Vatic came out with a Vatic Priz V7LH. What does it mean? It's just long handle. So the long handle is very close to a 6-inch handle. I don't think it's something special. So if you have a Vatic Priz already, just don't buy it. I don't think it's worth it to buy it unless you're a tennis player like me, which I use that Oya Phantom with a 6-7-inch handle. But other than that, nah, I don't think it's worth buying it. There's one is very
using that.
What'd you say? Sorry.
You were annoying when you were using that paddle.
me annoying, yeah. Jorge is always telling me, "Oh my god, he's bringing his baseball bat now."
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So, and then there's another company that came out. Actually, was I think John McEnroe, and then there is Drew Brees that's endorsing it. It's called Oil. So basically, it's a quiet. USPA they just did a we call a quiet paddle-less category, and that one fits into that category. And basically, it's almost like a foam fabric type of paddle. So it's supposed to really be like when you hit the balls much quiet than compared to other paddles. So but it's not tournament play. So so a lot of people was in one of the Discord groups were saying, well, if it's not a USAP approved for tournament play, why am I buying this? Right. So like,
yeah, we kind of brought this up because it just got announced on the last podcast, but we didn't have a lot of information on it. But yeah, I can see this being for like purely rec players, especially those who live in more of like a suburban area. So like, for example, like the St. Albert Club.
Oh yeah, that's
I could
the
see that.
courts.
I could see that for the players who don't go to tournaments using this, because then because there's always those complaints about pickleball's too loud. Like we have the windbreaker net stuff, which do quiet the sound a little bit, but then if you can add this paddle into it, and if it does actually play decently well, I can see you going over. However, the price tag for it is a bit much for what would be a rec paddle.
Oh yeah, it's like 200 plus US dollars.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not buying this.
Just to do another shameless plug, it's more than this paddle, and this is a pro-rated paddle. For those of you who aren't watching, I'm holding up my Voltex G3 Pro again. So the Owl paddle, which is not approved for tournaments, is more expensive than this one.
Exactly. So like, if it was me, I would buy this like approved paddle that you have, rather than a quiet paddle that I'm never gonna use.
Yeah, right. So like I said, for pure rec, like if you're playing just for pure rec fun and you don't want to go to tournaments, like for me, then yeah, you can buy a lower level paddle, like like the $89 ones or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Because you're not worried too much. You're doing it for more of the social, the exercise. Yes, you're still maybe playing hard and want to win, but you're not worried about the high level competition part of it. So like, I don't understand the point of paying that much money for what would basically be a rec paddle.
Yeah,
So
that was
that's my
interesting.
kind of question on that. Like, now, if they can get it approved for tournament play eventually, then I can see paying that much for it. You could even do like a quiet tournament, like a midnight tournament or something like that.
Quiet tournament.
Just as some type of publicity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But yeah,
I know.
that's the only problem with that is the price tag on it is way too expensive for basically what's going to be a rec paddle.
Agree, completely agree. Because no, personally, I'm not gonna buy that paddle because I'm not gonna use it. And then a couple of new ones. Electrum came in with a new paddle finally. Because this year they just have the Electrum 2 and then just being quiet for a long time, and then now they have the Pro Stealth. So what is the Pro Stealth? Is basically edgeless paddle. Another another edgeless paddle now, and but the particularity of this paddle is it has a very low swing weight, so they have to swing it at 97. For people that just for reference, how swing weight works. So around 110, that's usually what you want to have as a regular paddle. So that means that it's still maneuverable enough, but you're still able to hit through quickly. When it's beyond 120 means it's sometimes too heavy, but like for tennis player like me or bangers like me, that's what you want, because swing weight, what it means is how many force you need to apply in order to swing that paddle, right? So the lower the swing weight means the less effort you need to swing that paddle. So I will say, for example, is people that has Legacy. The Legacy Pro has 120 swing rate, and then if you bring to some other lower weight paddle like a Vatic, or I will talk about like the Yola Scorpius, we're now into 110 or even lower radius. So this one being at 97 beats is a very quick paddle. So that makes it very, very interesting. And then another one that makes a lot of buzz right now is the 60 Ruby. So this is the 60 Ruby is actually a red paddle. They're a little bit unconventional compared to our usual black paddle. So this paddle is actually using Kevlar surfaces, like full Kevlar surfaces. Like if some people was thinking, well, this Kevlar has been already using pickleball, right? Yes, like Pro Drive has been using Kevlar, but they use it in the inside, so inside the honeycomb, instead of using on the surface of the paddle. And then you have the pickleball apes with the Pro Line Energy, which is they're using Kevlar and like a mix of Kevlar and carbon fiber. This one is using pure Kevlar. So people that's thinking about, okay, what's good with Kevlar? So Kevlar is a very good impact resistance material, has a very long, good wear resistance, and in theory is more durable. So so what they are trying to market that paddle is being more durable on the grid, and also because it has a more impact resistance, it should be also slightly more powerful when you're hitting it. A couple new review has came out actually that unfortunately does not actually make a big difference compared to carbon fiber. It has a very just a tiny bit of difference, tiny bit more power. Grid resistance we don't know because it just came out, right? So there's not enough long term result coming in first. But that paddle is priced about $200 too. So
Not bad.
so not bad for a new paddle, but the people that has like I have a 60 double black diamond. I'm not gonna buy this paddle, right? Because
no, yeah,
it's the same. It basically is the same shape. Maybe has a tiny bit more swing weight. That's it. It's basically the same paddle. So it's not justifiable enough to to buy it, unless you say I don't have that any kind of those paddle. I want a new paddle has the latest technology. Yes, go for it. But other than that, if you have a good Gen
exactly.
2, like good Gen 2 paddle, I don't think it's worth it yet.
Yeah, and like you said, because it's brand new, we can't really prove the longer grit longevity with it. And then to throw this out there for people who are wondering why Kevlar sounds so familiar, it's one of the materials used in some types of bulletproof vests.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Hence why the better durability and possibly a little bit more power, but definitely for longevity. But so yeah, so I'd be interested to see what the results are. Say like someone buys this, say tomorrow, what it's hitting like and what the grit's like, say come summertime. Type thing, especially if it's someone who's playing like 3 or 4 times a week. So because if you can prove that, hey, you can buy this pal and this pal's, even if you go to tournaments, this is going to last you like grit wise for like 2 years, then I can see people clamoring to go grab it. And then Kevlar will be the next kind of blow up thing as like what raw carbon was. So
yeah, but I don't foresee for the moment. I think it's just more gimmick than new things at this point. And then we could just go quickly about I think Andrew, everyone that does experience that, like, why do you change paddle? Like if you people right? So for people like that,
I did tease Victor about this because when we played him over that weekend, he brought like 3 paddles to the court with him. So
actually, I brought 4.
Oh, sorry, 4. Yeah, that's right. He looked like he was unfolding a deck of cards in front of me, basically.
Well, in the summer I brought 3, but now I upgraded for 4. So I'll just making fun, actually fun of one guy. He said, "Oh, you bring a new paddle this year?" I was like, "Yeah, every year I just bring an additional paddle into the court every time." So, but okay. So why do I bring that much paddle for on the court, and like, especially in a tournament? Like a lot, like you look at the pros and stuff, they don't do that. But why do I do that? I come from a very tennis background, right? So in a tennis background, we it just you see a lot of players in middle of match go get a new racket. Like you look at the racket, there's nothing going on, like strings, everything is good. Why don't he go grab that new racket? So I do a little bit the same thing for pickleball. So what happened is there's a couple of reasons. First reason is a mental reset. Sometimes like you're just losing, you're popping the ball, you're hitting the ball out. It's just want to have a mental reset. Okay, I need just a little minute, but I don't want to take a timeout. So I will need a little limit, a little minute or second. I go grab a new paddle. No reps gonna tell you, oh no, you can't do that. It's not in the rule book. So you can go get a new paddle. Just a mental reset. Another thing that why I do that is because I always have different paddles also that I bring to my arsenal. So I have a red go-to paddles that's we call. That's the one that I always use. And then I have a power paddle, and then I have a control paddle. So why I don't have this is because on different, there's a different situation. So if you're playing outdoors, everyone knows there's wind, there's sun, there's all that changing in the environment that can affect the game. Let's say I'm against the wind, so you want a more powerful paddle now, because if if your paddle is hitting, the ball's like going barely beyond your beyond the non-volley zone line, because probably your that wind is pretty strong. So you want something stronger, a stronger paddle to plow through it. Or opposite, you're now with the wind. Well, your ball is sailing long all the time. Then you want a paddle is a more control paddle in order to control a ball back to that non-volley zone line, right? So that's how I do it. And the third thing is, unfortunately, sorry, Andrew, is to mess your opponent up, right? So why I say it? Yeah, I've been doing that. So why I say that is because your opponent is used to the same ball coming in at you, right? Like after a few points, they're used to the same ball like same speed or the way that you're hitting. And suddenly you throw another paddle, that paddle suddenly go more pop or less pop, and then you just throw your opponent up. Okay, what's going on? Why that ball is going on? And that's sometimes enough to win you a couple of points.
And even just the visual of the paddle, because like your one paddle there was like pure white. So like I'm playing Victor midway through the match, and once again I'll do a shameless plug here. His paddle's black, like the Voltex G3 Pro here, and then he goes halfway through the match and goes over and grabs a paddle that's pure white. So I'm used to seeing this yellow ball bounce off of this black surface, and then all of a sudden now it's bouncing off a white. And then for those of you who don't play like high level competitive, that does alter the perception of the ball, at least for the first couple of rallies that you play against that. So it does do mind games, like against really good players. It only maybe do it for one or two rallies, and then they've readjusted their eyesight for it. But it's no different like if you're playing at a place where, say, there's a blue backdrop on the wall, and then when you switch sides, the wall you're hitting to is now white.
Yeah,
it takes a second to pick up that yellow ball or the orange ball if you're playing indoors or whichever color you happen to be using. It takes a second for your eyes to adjust for the difference in the lighting of it, right? So color wise of the paddle also has an effect. And like I said, when Victor did that to me, it took me 2 or 3 hits to start seeing that ball come off the paddle the same way. Even though I noticed everything else he was doing, I was like, okay, one sec, readjust, and okay, now I'm good, right? Type of thing. So I do see the strategic part in that as well.
Exactly. So that's how that's why I brought that much paddle, and that's why I'm getting so much paddle in my back right now. So next year I don't know how much paddle in the tournament I bring on the courts.
You're gonna need to have 2 backpacks next year.
Yeah, we'll see.
So another sponsorship announcement. So Pickleball Canada got sponsored by the Huer candy. I've had a few of their packets before. You can usually see them in like Costco or at a lot of times at a gas station like an Esso or a Shell. A lot of times it's like they have a bunch of different types, but like the usual, like the Coca-Cola candies or like things like that. So hey, just another sponsor, which is always good to see for pickleball. More money coming into pickleball just means more advantages for all of us.
Yeah, I like that because at the same time, like we just said, we need something else, just pickleball, right?
Exactly. So like, as much as we would like to say, oh yeah, Selkirk's sponsoring Canada, ULIS sponsoring Pickleball Canada, Nivea sponsoring Pickleball Canada, that's all awesome. But they're already in pickleball. They're already in the sport. So having like say Tim's with the CPA Pro Tour, having Huer Candy with that, having even Healy Medical Tape, even though that's a sports related thing for the CPA Pro Tour. They're not just in pickleball; they're in all the other sports, right? So
exactly,
having a candy supplier is awesome. Victor, you might be a little torn with this because I don't know if you think candy is probably your most favorite thing at all times, and also probably an enemy because you probably get annoyed when you see clients come in, but then you're also happy because candy's causing them to come in.
Exactly. Well, you need them to eat candy to cause cavity, right? I'm so bad. Right, just think about like in the dental office. Usually, especially Halloween, I was just making that joke. Just what we do usually, you say, okay, in Halloween you're gonna give the stickiest and the sweetest candy at Halloween. So and then you give to the kids, and then you throw your business card in there at the same time.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's like So your Halloween is like Christmas for you is like Christmas for me as a restaurant owner. I do like gift card deals, and that way I see them in January. You're seeing them in November and December just before Christmas. So
exactly.
The video games, pickleball video games were announced. There's a VR one for Meta. There is a Nintendo Switch one, and then is that PPA one? Is that going to be like Xbox and PlayStation? Or
yeah, it's gonna be on pretty much all platform, PS5, Xbox, and it's gonna be on Steam. So people doesn't know, Steam is basically on PC. So it's gonna be a I think they actually have a collaboration with EA Sports. So that's how they did it. And then they say they developed it about almost like 18 months ago. So they have a long time of the development. They still, I think, refining. The U.S. nationals, they did have a little bit of a showcase of it.
Like
It
native.
seems to be okay, but people were just saying, well, is it the exactly same? Can you reproduce exactly the same mechanics sometimes in pickleball? That's one. I think one of the problem. Some of the people were saying, "Oh, can you reproduce Tyson McCoffin's celebration, like beer chucking in there, or can
Oh
you
yeah.
can
I can
you
see that maybe being added after.
yeah
Like
can you reproduce Julian Arnold yelling at the ammo nonstop? So
yeah.
like
So yeah,
stuff like that, right? Just
yeah,
have a better Adiamo, 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 Adiamo.
yeah. I can see that. I can see that if this goes over well, I can see that being a thing. Like just like how with like NBA games or NHL games now you can change like the celebration taunts and stuff
Mhm.
for your players. I can see that becoming a thing. Um, I am interested to see how the dinking mechanic. The dinking thing is the biggest mechanic that I think everyone's worried about because
Yeah,
everything else everything else you have all these tennis games where you can pretty much take take the stuff from that and add it in. So like serves, all that stuff, all those types of swings are already kind of in the system from the tennis games. But with when it comes to like, side to side dinking, forward dinking, or even tossing a lob shot in there, I'm interested to see how that's going to work, but we'll wait and see how the game comes out for sure.
and even like speed ups, like how
Yeah,
fast you can react on speed ups. I don't know how they're
yeah,
gonna do it.
I can see it if they do a good job. I'm a little when you said EA, I'm a little hesitant on that one.
Yeah, me too.
EA has produced good games, but then they've also just kind of tossed
I
stuff at
know.
the wall before. So it's kind of a mixed bag for me when you say it's EA doing that. But we'll see. Like I'm not gonna prejudge anything until I see it. I know we both heard with the Nintendo Switch one coming out, they got the rules wrong or something in it. So it's almost
Yeah,
you're almost better off playing Mario Tennis.
exactly. so yeah, I don't know why they did that. So but anyway, at least they're trying something new, trying something people maybe get some young people into interest for
Yeah,
for the game, hopefully, because yeah, I'm just known for seeing more older generation people playing those games.
yeah, exactly. And if you can get it into the gaming world, and like especially with Nintendo Switch, especially if they made it where it's motion, because Nintendo Switch does have that ability if you're swinging actually with the paddle.
Hmm.
Kind of like how like if for those of you who I think I'm dating myself here, but like the original Nintendo Wii, where you would play tennis, or even the
Yep.
ping pong game, where you swang the remote. Nintendo Switch does have that ability to do that, so I'd be interested to see how that works. And the other one is Pickleball VR, which is on the Meta Quest. I do have a Meta Quest VR, so I'm probably gonna purchase this game just to see what it's like. I think it's sitting around $30, which is a little pricey for a VR game.
Hmm.
But if they do a good job, because there are some very good ping pong VR games that are out there, there's some decent tennis ones.
Hmm.
Um, it all depends on how they get the physics of the ball, because realistically, dinking and stuff is as long as the physics of the ball are done well, you can do dinking, you can do speed ups and stuff because it's all motion control and stuff with VR, right? So
Yeah, I
like
agree.
I know when I play the ping pong games, I can do like a slice shot and spin the ball. I can do a snake shot from under the table, have the ball fly up and it bounce off the table properly, just like real physics. So, and
That's nice.
they'll probably have both options where they do more arcade style, where literally you just swing and you kind
Hmm.
of hit the ball, whatever, and then you can turn on real physics. That's what most, even like ping pong games and tennis games have that, where they make it more easy friendly. But for those who want a little bit more of a challenge, and they want to be able to put a slice on the ball or a spin on the ball, they have like the real physics put into it. So I'll take a look at it. Who knows? Like so, Victor, you'll probably grab the PPA game.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll,
I'll grab the PPA game when it
yeah,
comes out. Probably
maybe
next year, I
maybe
think.
we'll record ourselves playing these and then put them up on the channels, and so we can give a proper review. The nice thing is, I know with the VR, I already know how to record stuff with the VR, so I might do that, and then you'll actually see through as if you're looking through my eyes on how to play it. So
Nice.
we'll definitely give that.
That'll
We'll
be interesting.
a look. Yeah.
That'll be great. So, well, we'll keep you all posted when we'll got those games. CPP is still signing some new members. We have Matthew Kawamoto that's got signed, Christina Tina Chin, and then Haldo Told also got signed. So now we have 7 people that's fully committed. So which is good. I think they're actually getting along, but just waiting for more information because like just players does not give us more information, right?
No, yeah, and well, they're doing it very similar to how the CNPL did it when they first announced. They did the players like one a week. Once they got all the players announced, then they went into kind of their full spiel. So I totally agree with all these signings. I've watched all these players play. If you're talking for
no, they're all legit player, definitely.
all legit players, like Matthew Quanamoto played on the Toronto United team that won the CNPL.
Yes.
And if you want to see very good highlights, go to that championship match where it was the men playing. He literally goes into like God mode. And that, like,
Yeah.
like he was starting speed ups and just returning everything. As far as I know, I don't know if it's still true, but at the start of the CNPL season, he actually has the highest duper rating in Canada.
Oh wow!
For any Canadian player, he was out for a year because he actually gave himself whiplash playing pickleball. He tried to
I heard that.
Yeah, he matrix dodged a speed up and actually gave himself whiplash. And you actually in the Western split, he actually had to sit out one game because he had some of those concussion protocols come back. And then when he played in championship weekend, he was wearing a hat and full like shaded glasses to deal with it. Christina Chin is legit. She won gold with Kim Late at Nationals. Yep. She also, her and her male partner got bronze and then silver in the mixed open. So fully legit player there. Also very, very charismatic. So that's a really good personality to get.
She's on Instagram a lot as Pickleball on Ice. If people want to follow her, shout out to her too.
Yeah, so Pickleball on Ice, and she also has her personal one, just C Chin, and then she's also the social media manager for High Sports.
Yes, yeah, that's true. For Ontario, that's a club in Ontario, right?
That's a very, very big club in Ontario, and they're also one of the main sponsors of the CPA Pro Tour. So,
nice.
And then of course Haddo, former vice president of Pickleball Alberta, also played insanely well. He was on the runner-up team in the CNPL with Joel on the West Coast Wolverines, and just an amazing player to watch as well. So all of the signings so far for the CPA have been legit players. Basically it's the top the cream of the crop in Canada so far. So I'm interested to see who else they get to round out those 24. I'm interested to see actually if either of the Walker sisters or Hannah Blatt gets signed to this, because I don't know with their commitment to the MLP and the PPI, I don't know if they'll be able to come up for that. I know, as far as I know, Hannah Blatt is coming back for the CNPL, but that's a little bit easier to schedule around. So I don't know if she'd be able to pull off both in Canada and then also do tours in the States. But she might, just time-wise, she might have to pick between the two.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But I will say it depends on the same thing. Are you able to guarantee any prize money or stuff like that? If you're able to guarantee prize money on them, obviously they will choose Canada over state. But if not,
and with Tim Hortons sponsoring now, they should have lots of prize money.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully,
and I know they also on their website they announced that. So for the first year, you have the 24 like confirmed, and then the top 8 get guaranteed sponsorships and stuff. Like, so once the year is finished, you have like your top 8 like ranking. Those top 8 get guaranteed sponsorships and guaranteed money and stuff like that for following year and stuff. So there is some stuff on the line for that. There is
That's
prize
nice.
money for every tournament. I don't know if they've announced how much for each
Mm.
event, but that'll probably come out later. But yeah, so like basically for any of the and I know like Christina's with Selkirk, Adam's with Selkirk. I don't remember who Matthew's with.
Matthew is engaged.
Engage. Okay, yeah. So and then if we look, Chapman's with Selkirk, Leighton's with Selkirk, and I can't remember the other lady who she's with. I want to say she's
Are you talking about Alex? Alex
yeah.
Walker?
No,
Alex
no, no,
is with,
no. The other the one I can never pronounce her last name. Maria.
oh, Maria. I
Yeah,
don't remember. Proton? Is it Proton?
it might be Proton. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
yeah, which is one of the Walker sisters is signed to as well. So, but yeah, so
Mhm.
there's going to be big sponsorship opportunities, whether it's with the paddle companies they're already with or with some of the sponsors. Who knows? You might see them if it goes really well. You might see one of them in maybe like a Tim's commercial or something, which would be amazing.
Hopefully,
But
Tim's gonna sponsor me, right? I have a Tim's cup.
exactly right. Yeah,
Anyway, we'll see.
I like that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. News also on the NAPP. They have a couple of new signing. You have Ali. I don't how do I pronounce her last name?
Yep.
Kosniuk.
Yep.
And then you have Brendan Lane, and then you have Golden Lane also. So far they have 19 player that's committed so far, and then Jorge also confirmed with me they will have a new tournament mid February. So we'll see
right.
how it pans out. But obviously, more pro tournaments is better than none, right?
Oh, absolutely, and hopefully they can get some visual on it, like whether they're just showing it on YouTube or whatever. But if they can get some eyes on it, that would help immensely. Because right now, like Lululemon's great and all, but if it's just Lululemon, you're going to run out of money.
Exactly, and they should. I think they should just broadcast like a little bit like CNPL broadcast it on YouTube. Just
go YouTube. Like it's free to live broadcast on YouTube. It's one of the quickest ways to get eyes on you just from like people searching pickleball and stuff. It's one of the if you start getting views and likes on it, you'll jump right to the top of the algorithm.
exactly.
Like that. So the what like we said kind of last time when we covered NAPP, their biggest crutch now that they're competing with the CNPL and the CPA Pro Tour is they're not getting a lot of Canadian players.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the players signed are US or other players from other countries who are playing in the US. But
so,
I got you've already lost the number one male player in Canada, or the two. I would say the top two male players
the top
in
two's
Canada
gone.
in Brad and Matthew. Right, Haddo's right up there as well. If you want to do just for how nationals went, Christina and Kim are probably, if not the top two, within the top five females in Canada. So you've already lost some of the high level players to the CPA Pro Tour and the CNPL. So if they eat, but hey, if they can get some US and some other ones up, I don't care as long as there's games being played and as long as they're doing a good job broadcasting it. More, like we said, more eyes on pickleball, the better, because it brings in more money. The more sponsorships you can get, the more companies start to become aware of pickleball. It's make it no longer like a niche sport, but even if you get it from niche to just kind of niche, then you can get more eyes on it. So everything, we'll finish off with just a quick lightning round of kind of like our wish list for next year. Me, I had one thing that even if the CMPL doesn't do this, I thought this was really neat. Have you watched any of like the Tuesday night pickleball on the Dink?
Oh yeah, I watch all of them. All of them. I know.
So for those of you who don't watch, if you go to the Dink YouTube channel, aside from the Dink podcast, which they also have Tuesday night pickleball, which is shot down in Arizona at the Orchard Club. And actually the two Walker sisters from Canada play in that. But one of the things I really, really like that they do in this, which I think the CNPL could at least sort of take, is their challenge system on line calls.
Oh, that chicken tossing,
where they toss the chicken. Yeah, I love that. So what happens is they have multiple camera angles there. So they have a camera that's right on the baseline. They have cameras right on the sidelines. But what it is if say a player calls the ball out, and then the other team challenges it and the ref didn't see it and they still disagree with the call, one of the players on the bench can toss a chicken into the thing and they will actually go to a video replay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they're like zoomed in on it. And it just makes one, it adds a little bit more credibility because you have that instant replay. But the other thing is it's just a kind of a fun thing. And then you have like the live audience members are even saying, that's in, that's out. Like
Exactly.
it creates
atmosphere
that.
is so nice.
Yeah, it creates that fan engagement, right? So like even if it doesn't have to be a chicken, but I would love to see something of this kind of nature in the CMPL. It doesn't have to be on the CPA Pro Tour or anything like that because I like this better in like the team format where and the rule is you have 3 timeouts for the entire match. If your challenge fails, you lose a timeout. So there is a penalty system with it, right? So kind of similar with the NHL when the coach does a challenge, you get a penalty type thing. Well, this you lose a timeout, right? And as we all know, with once you're playing high level or even just competitive pickleball, those timeouts are very strategic, and you don't really want to lose one, right? So I really like this. It just adds a little bit more fun. Whether I don't know CMPL if you want to throw a maple leaf or a stuffed maple leaf or something onto the floor, just go full Canadian or have like a donut. Seeing how we got Tim's.
Yeah, Tim's
that's
good.
No, sorry, that's CPA.
That's CPA.
That's CPA. But hey, if Tim's wants to do CMPL too, we won't complain about that. But yeah, if you throw in like a foam donut or something let's go full Canadian with it. Throw a foam donut challenge thing, and then you go to video replay. And then the nice thing is, then same thing, you can do it live on YouTube because that was the one thing I liked about Championship Week in CMPL. They had more instant replays shown. Unfortunately, it was usually just the one camera angle, and they do have the multiple angles. So and obviously that would be more budget because you need more operators to run these cameras and stuff. But that if I was to add one thing, that would be the one thing I would add for the CMPL. We already know that they're going to add more events because last year was kind of like the pilot run. So more events are coming. I'm not going to worry about that. But if I was to add one thing, it would be kind of a challenge system for line calls because especially on Championship Weekend, there was 1 or 2 matches where there was some semi-controversial line calls in there.
Yeah.
Even when I went and played the video back and I was trying to slow it down and look at the thing, just the camera angle didn't allow me to kind of see, okay, that was and one of those calls was so close, like it could have literally gone either way, but it created a fire between the players and the refs. So like if you could do that, throw in the challenge thing and then hey, make it definitive, that'd just be a fun way to fix that.
Yeah. Also, I just feel it gains a little bit more credibility also on the sport because now you have something that you can challenge or actually have a direct review on it. So there's like a little there's I would say less animosity between the players and or the ref, right? Or even against the other team. The review say is good or it's out. That's it. End of the story.
And the other thing I liked is that the refs were the ones who it was up on the big screens for one thing, but the refs were the ones who went over and actually looked at and said, "Oh yeah, that's out." So we're changing the call to out. So it gave the refs that extra bit of technology to help them do their job.
Yes,
right.
Definitely.
So that would be the one thing I'd add to that. The other thing, now this would be more so of a gimmick thing, but they do have the guy who's like the bouncer there who kind of comes in and he's just kind of
the security guy.
Security guard, yeah. And he comes in and he's kind of like, he comes in whenever there's a challenge. He kind of just stands there. And it's more of a gimmick, but even having something along those lines, whether you have like that sideline report, like I know they had Cam do it last year where after the games he'd go and interview players. But if you could even do kind of like that sideline reporter for the more lighter side, like it doesn't have to be all the serious questions, but asking the players like a fun question, bring out those personalities and stuff like that. Something like make it very engaging because there's a lot of these players who are playing in these leagues in Canada who are very, very charismatic and outgoing. Like honestly, if you're not putting a microphone in front of Christina Chin every event she's in, I don't know what you're doing because like the one time she did sit down, I think it was during the Eastern split. Like you could have had like 5 different highlight reel material out of that.
Wow.
Just for like Instagram stuff. And it wasn't like it was just her being charismatic. She was giving other players nicknames. She was commenting on things, but just being very, very energetic about it. And it just drew you in to watch the match with them type of thing. So
definitely. Yeah. Hopefully they do something like that because that will at least bring up the audience, right? Because right from what I've seen from the Western split, I don't know, the attendance was a little bit shaky, but
It
anyway.
was also too big of an area. Like I found with the championship weekend, when you watch that, it was a little bit smaller. The stands were jacked, and you could hear the fans. And this is just me watching online. Like it was funny. I got a bunch of comments saying, "Oh, I never saw you there. I would have come over and said hi." I was like, "Oh, I wasn't there. I was just watching online." I was like, "But that's how immersive that type of." So that's why I like, and that's the other reason why I brought up the Orchard. Like it's not a big venue,
Exactly.
right?
Then
But
you can have
it's
the
a big
crowd,
it's
everything.
a big enough venue that you create that crowd atmosphere, and it just gets the players hyped up. So even if you go, and as much as I liked it at the stadium there in Edmonton, if you could even do it at say like the Hub.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The hub will be enough,
Yeah,
probably.
and I'd say probably the new Hub now, because then you can have at least two courts going with
Hmm.
with the bigger spacing, and then you can stick those bleachers in there and create that big atmosphere, right? So that'd be my two kind of wish list things. Anything for you, Victor?
I think my biggest wish list is having Duper integrated in pickleball brackets, and especially for our Canadian tournament rating. Because right now it's just like there's I'll say there's two ways. First of all, you might be able to eliminate some sandbagging, or some frustration of some new players that improved, like me and you, that improved tremendously, but we're stuck because our initial rating was like at 3. So for us to progress up to a 4, we have to like almost basically win over 10 plus tournaments to reach to that 4.0 level. So
Yeah.
if they stick that duper into that into that pickleball bracket, or the Canadian tournament rating system, I will say that will eliminate quite a bit of people that does not want to be playing at 3. They will be automatically at 4 already, because their duper rating is high enough to play. So that's will be I will say my main wish list, because it took me almost forever to make it to 4, even though I was winning quite a bit.
Yeah, and like the nice thing is, like, and it even works in the reverse as well. If your duper thing is low, but you've been playing at the pickleball bracket rating tournaments, that way when you go to a duper one, you take the one from the other. Like if they can work in conjunction with each other, that way. So like say if, and because there's not like you're in an area where there's actually a fair decent amount of duper events, whereas
Mhm.
most of the time, aside from if I go to one of those tournaments in St. Albert, most of the tournaments I go to are all under the pickleball brackets thing. So then when I go, like if you look at my duper rating right now, I think I'm only like a 3.8 or something like that. Whereas my pickleball brackets, I'm like a 4.2, a 4.5 almost. So like whether or not like you could almost take them and like amalgamate them together, or take the scores and put them onto each other so that it pops up your ratings. The other thing is more tournaments need to be sanctioned.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
there's not at least in Alberta, and like for those of us like me who have to travel minimum 5 hours, there's not enough sanctioned tournaments. And the problem is that same thing, like when we get stuck in the, especially if like for us, if we started at 3 like you and me did, yeah, we can get to 3.5 really easy, but to get to that 4, when we're playing in those 3.5 events, we're normally playing people who are roughly the same as us, so
Mhm.
your score doesn't go up as much. Like me and Irene had to win, like we didn't move up to 4 until we won that last tournament in Calgary. Even with finishing bronze in the 4.0, 4.5 at nationals, we were
Wow.
at a 3.99.
Ouch.
So we won
Yeah.
we won gold at 3.5 at provincials. We went, and then when we went to nationals, both of the events we went in were, one was 4.0 and up, and the other one was 4.0, 4.5. And we were playing teams, and I was looking at their ratings. I was like, hey, those are both 4.5 players. Those are both 4.5 players, right? And so we finished, I want to say, in the one we lost the game before the bronze medal match. So I want to say that'd be like fourth or fifth or whatever it is. And then the other one we won bronze. And I'm like, and even after that, we were still sitting at like a 3.99. And we had started that tournament at a 3.95. So we
Ouch.
only moved up
You didn't move.
0.04,
Yeah, you didn't move,
even
but
after playing all those high, even all playing those teams where they all were higher ranks than us. So yeah, so I don't know if there's a way to switch the system. And I think everyone has that complaint where change the system enough where if you're winning, your things should be going up higher
Yeah,
to some degree.
definitely.
I do like how Duper's brought back in the points thing because yes, you know what, winning 15-1 and winning 15-13 are very, very different games.
Yes, that
Right?
should be a different weight, right?
Yeah, right. That should, and same thing if you lose 15-13, it shouldn't count the same if I get blown out 15-1.
Exactly.
Right? Like if I made that player work for it, I should get some type of ranking adjustment with that. So I do like the fact that they brought back in the point system for Duper. Yeah, but I have a feeling it's getting to the point where they all have to kind of merge into one universal rating system. Now, it's never going to be perfect, unfortunately, but if we can take kind of the best bits of each and make at least something that's a little bit more worth more so it's not as time consuming. Because like Irene's at a 4 or 5 now for women's, but she's literally had to win gold in every single tournament except for one, and she got silver. Right, like so, and that's the only way she was able to jump up to 4 or 5 for women's at that point. Whereas with me, she's at like that. I think our mix is at like the 4-2 in the Canadian one. But if you look at our regular brackets, I think we're sitting around like a 4-4. Because the one tournament we went to, we thought it was when we signed up for it, it was asking to be sanctioned. But then when we went to tournament, it never ended up getting sanctioned. So
so it doesn't
so even
count.
though it was a 4.0 category and we won, it didn't count towards that, right? So
yeah, it's just that suck. That really sucks. Yeah, definitely. And I will say, while you're at it on sanction, I will say kind of making sure that those tournament that is sanctioned has referee. Like don't just say I have that, like a little bit like like some of the Calgary or even EVP. Oh, I have extension, but there's no ref. Like basically
yeah,
almost no ref on it. Like
at,
then what's
at
the
least
point? Sanction it.
at least bare minimum for crossovers and finals.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's at least bare minimum. Like if you want to do round robin and not have a ref there, I can live with that. To some extent, because I have been in round robin games where man, I really would have wanted a ref there. Like we still won the match, but there was a few spots where it got a little dicey. But no, yeah, like at least a ref for crossovers and finals. Because once you get to that point, now that these are the teams left that are fighting for those medal spots, right? So and the ranking spots, like we're not just going to win medals, we're also trying to go and put our rankings up so that way when we go to provincials or when we go to nationals or when we go to Western regionals, we're competing at a higher level. We want to keep pushing ourselves further, right? But if we keep getting regulated to 3-5, 3-5, 3-5, 3-5, or like with you, the 3-0, 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah,
In the some well, yeah, but because me and Irene played that one tournament at the beginning of last year, and we went, okay, well, we won 3-0 provincials last year. Let's try out 3-5. But our ranking is still 3.2. Okay, well, we'll go 3-0 this tournament, see how we do. We went into the tournament, we blew everybody off the court because our club goes wintertime, so we're practicing like 3-4 times a week. So our big jump in skill for us normally is from like October through to April. So when the season starts, like when the full tournament season starts, we've done all of our improvement then. Right. So then we come in, and a lot of times that first 1 or 2 tournaments we do, it feels like we're unintentionally sandbagging because we've improved so much, but our ranking is not going to let us go up.
Yeah, it's just too bad. But I'm hopefully they're gonna make those changes sometime soon. I think they're actually talking to Duper right now to make that change. And then Pickleball Canada, I think they are trying to kind of enforce that, but to make it when you're making sanction to have more referee. So we'll see. Time will tell, obviously, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
anyway,
we said we were going to go shorter, but we didn't go much shorter. But that's
no, I don't see we're shorter at that time.
Oh,
not at all.
Not at all. But that's okay. It's the year-end one, so we'll be back in January. Everyone, have a happy holidays. Victor, you have a happy holidays.
You too. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy holidays. Come back stronger in January.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you guys next year for season 2. All right.
See you, anyone.
Left-handed. Go up. Look at that. What a way to end it with an overhead smash. And not just an overhead smash, but a jumping overhead smash by Irene. So Irene and Andrew from East River, Alberta, gold medalists.